They called it a war, but no one bled, no steel clashed, no arrows flew, and yet by the time it was over, an entire civilization had already surrendered. This is the story of a war fought in silence, a war that destroyed kingdoms without ever touching them. And if you look closely at history, you'll realize it never really ended. If that makes you curious, you might want to stay. Because what you're about to hear isn't taught in classrooms, and maybe there's a reason for that. If this kind of story pulls you in, consider subscribing. We uncover the parts of history that were meant to stay buried. Now let's go back, not to a battlefield, but to a moment when someone realized that fear was sharper than any blade. It started in a place most people have never heard of. A kingdom that controlled trade routes, rivers, resources, powerful, untouchable, or so they thought. Another kingdom wanted what they had, but they didn't have the armies to take it. They didn't have the weapons, so they did something else. Something quieter, something that didn't require a single soldier to cross the border. They sent a message, just one. It wasn't a threat, it wasn't a demand. It was a rumor, a whisper that spread like smoke through the markets, the temples, the homes of the powerful. The rumor said that the gods had turned their backs on the kingdom, that the rivers would dry, that the harvests would fail, that the king had lost their blessing. Nothing happened at first. Life continued, but the whisper didn't stop. It grew, it shifted. It became 100 different versions of itself, each one darker than the last. And slowly, people started to believe it. Here's the thing about fear. You don't need proof, you just need doubt. And once doubt enters a mind, it starts to eat away at everything else. Confidence, loyalty, trust. The kingdom didn't fall because it was attacked. It fell because its people stopped believing it could stand. The enemy never marched. They waited, and while they waited, they did something genius. They began to position themselves as the kingdom that still had the gods' favor. They made offerings, public ones, loud ones. They celebrated harvests that were only slightly better than average. They made sure everyone heard about it, and the contrast was impossible to ignore. One kingdom blessed, one kingdom cursed. That was the story, and stories, when repeated enough, become truth. But that wasn't the most unsettling part. What happened next revealed just how deep psychological warfare can go. The cursed kingdom tried to fight back. They held ceremonies. They made their own offerings. They tried to show strength. But every move they made was watched, and every move was twisted. A public festival became desperation. A military parade became overcompensation. The more they tried to prove they were fine, the more it looked like they were afraid, because they were. The leaders knew it, the generals knew it, and eventually, the people knew it too. Morale didn't collapse all at once. It eroded, slowly, like a stone worn down by water. Soldiers started to desert, not because they were afraid of the enemy, but because they were afraid their own kingdom was doomed. Merchants left, families migrated. The kingdom became a place people fled from, not a place worth defending. And the enemy still hadn't moved a single soldier. Now, you might be wondering how this is even possible. How can a rumor destroy a kingdom? But think about it. What holds any society together? It's not walls, it's not armies, it's belief. Belief that the system works, that the leaders are legitimate, that tomorrow will come. Take that belief away and everything else crumbles. The enemy understood something most rulers didn't, that the mind is the first battlefield. And if you win there, you've already won everywhere else. So they kept going. They spread more rumors, but they were careful. They didn't lie outright. They exaggerated. They implied. They asked questions that planted doubt. Is the king sick? Why hasn't he been seen in public? Are the granaries really full, or are they hiding something? They made people ask questions they couldn't answer, and unanswered questions turn into suspicion. Eventually, the kingdom's own people started to turn on their leaders, not violently, not dramatically, but quietly. They stopped paying taxes, they stopped showing up to public gatherings, they stopped believing that anything would get better. And when a kingdom's people stop participating, the kingdom is already dead. The final blow came without a sword. The enemy sent envoys, not with threats, with an offer, a peaceful transition, no bloodshed, no invasion, just step aside, let us take over, let us restore order. And because the kingdom was already broken from the inside, the leaders agreed. History recorded it as a peaceful annexation, a diplomatic victory, but it wasn't diplomacy. It was a war fought with patience, perception, and the slow poison of fear. And here's what should keep you up at night. This wasn't a one-time strategy. It's happened again and again. Different names, different places, but the same method. Because once you realize that the human mind is more vulnerable than the human body, everything changes. Some historians believe this is how entire empires have collapsed. Not from external conquest, but from internal doubt planted by those who knew how to manipulate belief. The Roman Empire, the Mayans, dynasties in China and India. There are whispers that suggest psychological campaigns were happening long before anyone had a name for them. Think about it. How many times has history told you that a kingdom just fell apart, that people lost faith in their leaders, that a civilization collapsed from within? What if those weren't accidents? What if someone was pulling strings the whole time? The scariest part is how invisible it is. There's no smoking gun, no battle to point to, just a slow unraveling. And by the time anyone realizes what's happening, it's already too late. Now, you could say this is ancient history, that it doesn't matter anymore, but does it? Look around. How many conflicts today are fought with information, with perception, with the slow, deliberate shaping of what people believe? The tools have changed. The screens are different, but the method, it's the same. Someone, somewhere, understands that if you can control what people fear, you control everything. This ancient war wasn't the first, and it definitely wasn't the last. It was just one of the few times it was so perfectly executed that no one could deny it had happened. But how many others were there? How many kingdoms fell to invisible wars that left no evidence behind? We'll never know for sure, and maybe that's the point. Because the most effective weapon is the one no one sees coming. The one that doesn't look like a weapon at all. Just a whisper, a doubt, a question that won't go away. So here's a question for you. If a war happened and no one recognized it as a war, did it really happen? Or is it still happening? Leave a comment, tell me what you think really happened. Tell me if you've ever felt like something was shaping the way you see the world without you realizing it. And if this story made you think, share it with someone who loves mysteries. Someone who questions the stories we've been told. Because history isn't what we remember, it's what we forgot to question.